All right, welcome in, Coach Moss. Bob, get us started, please.
Hey, Eric, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Bob?
Is your shoulder feeling better?
No.
Oh, that sucks.
Tough rehab day.
Okay, well, I'm sorry.
I was on Twitter at 4 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 6 in the morning, so I didn't sleep.
Okay, well, maybe you can get a nap or something later. Hey, Jalen and JD, they're the first Razorbacks to be on the first team together since Corliss and Scotty back in '95. What do you think about that? And obviously, Corliss and Scotty, they were established stars. And I think everybody knew JD and Jalen were pretty good, but neither of them were on preseason teams. They weren't getting a lot of hype. What do you think about them doing what those guys did, and the fact they kind of did it coming from a place that they were low on the radar?
Yeah, I mean, wow, I didn't know that stat, Bob. Thanks for educating me. But certainly, the growth and development that those two guys have shown, that's what you want. You want players to get better. You want players to continue to get confidence. You want to see their games grow and expand. And certainly both those guys, their roles have expanded as their play and productivity has expanded. And, you're never handed a role. You kind of earn a role, and then that role develops based on productivity. So really proud of both those guys. I thought they both, Jalen had a great second half of his freshman year. He built off that, and JD, continues to grow and continues to evolve. And both those guys are going to continue to get better too. I mean, they'll get better between now and our last game. And they have a future where they haven't hit their ceiling, either one of them. They're going to both, like I said, get better.
And then the SEC tournament, I guess you guys are probably, your seating's probably pretty well set. Maybe you can help yourself a little bit, a spot or some, but what's the motivation when you've had such a good ending to the season and you're definitely in the tournament and they're talking about you probably being a 4 seed or something like that? What's the motivation down in Tampa for you guys?
Yeah, Bob, until I hear our name on Selection Sunday, I don't trust anything. As long as they're going to keep a scoreboard up down there in Tampa, and we're not just out there, just hooping, then as a competitor, you want to go win. So I promise you that there'll be one thing on my mind Friday, and that's how do we win the freaking game? That'll be probably the only thing on my mind. I mean, before the game, we've got to make decisions on, roles and how many minutes guys are going to play. And some of those things will be semi predetermined, but once the heat of competition gets going, then it's all about how to get a W, I think.
I know it's still early in the week. You got any update on Adis and his availability for Tampa?
Yeah. I mean, right now he has not, practiced at all. He's still in a boot. He's still a ways off. He will travel with us, but he's been nothing but in a boot. They were able to get him to do some cardio yesterday on the bike. Pool work running wise right now, that's not part of the equation. But he was on a bike, because if and when he's able to play, at that point we want him to, to still be in the right physical condition.
Okay, I might have a couple more. I'll turn it back to Mike. Thanks.
Scotty.
Yeah, Eric, JD and Jalen, in a way, both said that they're proudest from the regular season of this team's togetherness. I'm wondering if you could maybe provide some insight into how that kind of developed throughout the course of the seasons. I remember when we were in North Little Rock, it just kind of seemed like the guys on the team, maybe in a way, were just kind of just a bunch of pieces and instead of just kind of together.
I think that's a great observation, Scotty, and a true observation. And your timeline is spot on. That was the low of the lows. I'll leave it at that. But we, one of two things were going to happen after the game in North Little Rock. We were either going to take off one way or, and obviously it took us a little bit of time. I think that as I've said, the holiday break, I thought took us out of any type of rhythm after we had won the game before the break, and then everybody went their own ways. And then obviously, JD and Chance getting COVID, it affected us coming out of the gates. And I thought it affected us for sure in the Vanderbilt game as well. But, as soon as we got back healthy and we had lost a couple of games, I think that the players understood that we had to start winning, and we put ourselves in a position where even if we would have finished the season pretty good or very good, we had to we put ourselves in a position where we had to play as good as anybody in the country with the way the schedule laid out. Because I've seen some of these other schedules of some of these other programs and who they played twice. We had a difficult schedule, unlike maybe a couple other people in the league. But our schedule down the stretch was as hard as I've seen, both internally and also just even externally. When little bit of time I've been in college and have studied league schedules and so on and so forth, that was about as hard a stretch as anybody possibly could have.
I did some looking around a little bit earlier, and I saw that there's 4 guys in the league that have played over 1,000 minutes so far this year, and JD is one of them. I guess just given everything that he shoulders on both ends, is how impressed are you with how he held up from a mental and a physical standpoint? I'm sure his legs were pretty worn out at times.
Yeah, I think a lot of that, Scotty, and if you look at the minutes of some of the guys at Nevada, you look at the minutes of guys, in years 1 and 2, Mason hardly sat out of games unless he was in foul trouble. And Isaiah Joe played a heck of a lot of minutes, and Moses played a lot of minutes as a freshman, and Jalen. So we've had a lot of guys that are high minutes guys. And I think really what it all starts in the summer. JD Note is one of the very few players. There's a lot of players that come back at night to get shots up. But I can't tell you how many I'd come in and grab stat sheets or print something out at night, and he'd be in there lifting weights as I walked by the weight room. So he was an all-encompassing. It's stretching, it's shooting, it's ball handling, it's weightlifting. And I'm talking about doing that stuff on his own. It's been incredible to see and that's why I think you can become an Iron Man with minutes, is when you spend your off season preparing like that. And he knew coming into the season that we were going to play him a lot of minutes. I think he had seen some guys in the past that were close to leading the league in minutes played. And you know what, when we get a new group in here next year, I'll probably have the same speech, which is, hey, if you're in the top 6 rotation, you better be ready to play a lot of minutes. And if you're not, you better be able to mentally come in and work on your game and try to carve more of a role out than what you might have coming out of the first couple games.
Nate,
Eric, after the Tennessee game, you said if Tony couldn't play, you'd do something different to start off than what you all did against Tennessee. Have you got any kind of idea who you'd start if Tony can't play?
Certainly won't tell you guys, Nate. Not 4 days in prep. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I do know I'm not telling you guys. And I love all of you guys. You guys are all awesome and fair, and it's been a great partnership, but certainly not telling you guys jack right now. I can tell you that. But we do have 3 units that we've been working with, Nate. We've taken 7 guys at one end, and then we're putting different rotations with them. Because even whoever starts, we're gonna have that that 7 guys that you guys all know who that is. Though, those guys at some point, if a DC can't play, they've all got to know different positions. And quite frankly, yesterday, we had some guys playing some positions that they have not played in the past. So, we might have a team that's a little bit smaller than what we played. We might have a team that's a lot bigger even than with the DC in there as well that we'll tinker with. So in all seriousness, we'll be in the preparation day 2 today, day 3 tomorrow. And really probably won't talk to the team about who we start until Thursday's practice, to be honest, Nate.
Regardless whether either one of them starts or not, just how much help that both Chris Likes and Kamani Johnson had maybe their best games this last one.
Yeah, we needed those guys to play good without a Dece, and I think that both of their confidence is good. Their body language yesterday was phenomenal in practice. I think that they're re-energized just like any player is when he plays well. And Kamani's done a good job in the minutes that he's been given throughout the course of the year, and Chris has had some peaks and valleys. And certainly I thought that his Tennessee game was his best all-around game, offensively, defensively. And we need Chris to play with great confidence because he is a really dynamic player.
And finally, just if it is LSU, how much incentive is there for getting beat on the boards the way y'all did the last time you played them?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to hold our ground. If you get dislodged, you can't go further underneath the basket. You've got to stay in rebounding area. LSU's really physical. But right now we're kind of, working on 3 different scenarios of who we could play, more so trying to fine tune who we are. Because we know once Sunday evening hits, we got to really dive into whoever we're playing in that first game in the NCAA tournament.
Thank you.
Coach,
I know one of the we talked about all the accolades for your guys, but I know one of them, Jalen Williams, was named to the AllGlue team. I guess Seth Davis does that. I'm curious, as a coach, is that something you maybe? I mean, all conference is great, but AllGlue, I mean, is that something that means a little bit more to you as a coach?
I don't think there's any doubt, Hutch. That means a ton. I think that, that means that a player that's doing things maybe that don't show up on the stat sheet is being recognized. Now we've had 2 players back-to-back years on that team with Justin Smith doing it. And it does because, as a coach, as a leader, you're always trying to talk to your team and get buy-in on all the little things. It's easy to run a play for a guy and have a player come off a down pin and shoot it and score it and get points. And, some guys love to see stats rebounding wise and get numbers that way, or somebody, can get their joy out of the game by being a high assist player. But an AllGlue guy means that he's being recognized, like I said, for things that don't stand out in the box score, for things that help winning, for things that help culture, for things that help team camaraderie, all those things. And I think it also says a little bit about our program that 2 years in a row, a national publication like The Athletic and Seth Davis have looked or pointed towards our team, and understanding that there's a guy on that particular roster that's kind of helping things click by doing the unsung type things. And, last year with Justin, I thought it was the loose balls and running the floor and defending the opposition's best player. And then this year, I think, with Jay Will, it's, he's been the guy that's ignited our defensive change up. Because he's such a great rim protector, he's allowed us to guard the 3-point line much better. I think the guys forgot the Tennessee first half that Jalen was back there, and they thought maybe I was in uniform protecting the rim because they were backed off a shooter so far. But we reminded them at halftime that Jalen was back there and Kamani, and to please try to get within 35 feet of a shooter instead of backing off guys like Vescovi. So, and we'll continue to reiterate that this week about, guarding shooters with a little bit more intensity than we showed the first 20 minutes in Knoxville. But Jalen has had a great year, and it's awesome that he got recognized for doing a lot of those things that, like I said, are not statistical glorified stats.
Christina.
Coach, I heard you guys have a wall of charges or something at the facility. What is that? Is that a real thing?
Well, Christina, if I tweeted it out, it's a real thing, right?
I definitely missed it.
It's on Twitter, not on my main page. I try to keep you guys on your toes by replying to people, and then I can really find out who's like really diving in and dissecting the Twitter world. But Christina, I will have Mike will send you that tweet, but we do have a charge wall up, because I think that, in all seriousness, all of these glue things or intangible stats, we try to celebrate every game. We probably should have taped some of them. Maybe we have them in our archives, but we have a lockdown defender chain that we give out the day after the game or the night of the game, where a player puts a chain around his neck. It's got a big old lock, but it's for the lockdown, defender. We have the football helmet where the player's initials get put on the football helmet for making toughness plays. And we have a bunch more. We have a Windex bottle of Windex that's for the guy that cleans the glass or rebounds. So we have all these different things that we try to celebrate after wins. I don't know if we've celebrated anything after a loss around here.
Who do you think's gotten the chain the most?
The what? Oh, the chain.
Who do you think's gotten the chain the most?
Adisi, he wears that lockdown defender chain pretty well.
And then just one more from me. We've talked a lot about the team chemistry improving, and I was just curious how much Jalen specifically has kind of played a role in that.
Yeah, how much Jalen has played a role, Christina? I mean, he played a big role because he's our best talker. He communicates at halftime. He's really good in timeouts. Kind of a unique situation where somebody is a sophomore and talks like that and is willing, like when you're a leader, you step out of your comfort zone, and it's not easy, especially for a younger player. Last year it was quite obvious that Justin Smith and Jalen Tate had the leadership quality to tell me in a timeout, hey coach, why don't we run this play instead of what you just diagrammed? Or in game, it's like awesome when you have a leader come over to you and say, hey, get this guy out, put this guy in, this guy's not doing what we need. Those type of conversations, a lot of college coaches don't like, but we actually encourage those, because I think the players know more than we know. And Jalen's a great bridge with me and the locker room, because he's confident in himself. He's confident in his teammates, and he's so well respected. It's really hard to lead if you're not universally respected in the locker room. And Jay Will is for sure in our locker room and with the entire coaching staff and our support staff. I mean, leadership, how do you treat the support staff? He's awesome with everybody in the building.
Curtis.
Coach, you talked about the difficulty of the schedule down the stretch. It's almost like you've been playing tournament games for a month. How's that helped you guys to turn the page now to postseason, and then to play as well as you did and earn the double bye, get a couple extra days of rest and time to prepare for these different combinations you might have to use in Tampa?
That's a great question, Curtis. I don't know if you've talked to my wife, Danielle, because since we got back from Tennessee and I've been watching games, and, I'll be watching the game and say, wow, this team looks really good. I like the offensive sets they're running. And she's like, you do realize that Auburn would have beat that team by 20, or Tennessee's about a 15-point. So she's pretty smart, and she's put it in perspective a lot of late, because all you got to do is look at the top 10 rankings of the United, like where players are or where teams are ranked and who we've played of late. I mean, we played so many NCAA tournament caliber teams down the stretch. And I do think it's going to help us in close games. It's, one of the things when you get to the NCAA tournaments, even like the layup line, because it's like a boxing match before you actually step between the ring. Two teams are kind of feeling each other out when they walk by each other for shoot around. They're sizing each other up, and you get a feel on film, but we're not going to look down at any team in the NCAA tournament and have any fear. Doesn't mean we're going to win. We're going to have great respect for anybody that we would play. But when you look, when you look at the roster of Kentucky and Tennessee, and you think about the coaching of Coach Calipari and Rick Barnes, like those two teams and those two coaches, like they're really, really phenomenal coaches with great experience year after year after year after year, with NBA lottery picks and rosters that are so talented that I think it does do us. If we would have played those teams early in the year, Curtis, you're right. Maybe you kind of forget, but the way that we've been tested of late, I think is hopefully going to help us tremendously.
Thanks, Coach.
Randy, one quick question.
Gosh, hate to be left with such short time. By the way, Eric,
You got to bring it, Randy.
I think it should be suggested that Jalen get a NIL with a dentist for a smile. Got a great smile. That'd be a great.
I'm not allowed to talk about name images like that.
I'm just saying.
Terry Prentice.
I'm just putting it out there. All right. How difficult, if it ends up being LSU, is to prepare for a team the third time? Because one time without their point guard, second time with the point guard, this time you know that you're going to have to prepare probably for LSU as you faced them the last time out. How difficult it would be to prepare for a team for a third time?
I mean, I've only been in college for 7, 8, whatever years it is.
Sure.
Well, where I came from, you'd had to beat people in a 7-game series. So I'm not really, the more you get to play them, the more you get to evaluate, the more, it doesn't mean you're going to win. I mean, I think that LSU's got incredible talent. They're a difficult matchup for everybody in our league. They got, a shooting big in Days. They have one of the best one-on-one isolation players in number 13. They got a guard in Xavier Pinson that can create off the bounce. They got size with Ephraim Reed inside. They have a great freshman on the wing. So they have some guys off the bench that come in like Gaines that are instant momentum changing guys. So, and Eason off the bench. I mean, they present a lot of problems for people. But again, like right now, because we don't know who we play, we can all assume that the higher seed, but right now there's a game on Wednesday that we've got to evaluate. And then there's a game Thursday that we have to evaluate, and we have to be prepared for all scenarios. But certainly, the LSU roster is one of great depth and extremely talented team.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate your time.